And now, a curmudgeon who can't spell the word curmudgeon. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get on a church to get a mandate. Get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. We love that about you. Big Jay Oakerson is here.
What's up,
Jessimae Peluso in studio as well. Good to see you again, Jay.
Good to see you too.
Jay's got a special, and it's called Dog Belly, and it is premiering on YouTube, and that'll be on Wednesday, April 5th. And also podcast Legion of Skanks, and of course, Jessimae's got her pod as well, Sharp Tongue, and we'll get to some dates and what have you. Jay, what's new in your world?
Besides the special, not much. I did not think I was the right place when I was outside. LA, everywhere's so unassuming. It's like a dilapidated house, and then I did Howie Mandel's podcast yesterday. It was in the middle of like an industrial park.
Yeah. I've told every semi-celebrity or celebrity friend of mine, buy a warehouse, and they always go, "Why? What do I need a warehouse for?" And it's like, get the warehouse, and then you will find out why you need the warehouse. Everyone needs a warehouse. I told Howie Mandel years ago, get a warehouse, and I always got like 3 warehouses. And he's like, this is the greatest thing ever. I can't explain to you why you would need a warehouse, but you need a warehouse. You want a warehouse, and you will use a warehouse.
I like all the cars outside. It looks like a bunch of cars. You told all your nephews you're going to fix them up for them one day. Mr. Miyagi, you go out there and
a lot of stuff out
pick
there.
a car and now put an engine in it.
Nobody in my family's interested in cars. There's something happen. You tell me where you guys are at with your family and your field of interest. Mm-hmm. I said to my family, I am interested in building and architecture, and they said nope. And I said I love comedy, and they're like not interested. And I said I like cars, nope. And there's literally nothing I'm into that anybody around me is into at all, especially family members.
I was interested in leaving Syracuse.
And they're like, yes.
And they were like, yes.
You go.
Syracuse, the food they claim they're known for is chicken fingers.
That's true.
Weirdest place.
We make the best chicken fingers.
Do they, though?
Chicken wings. It's chicken wings and pizza.
It's those fingers.
That's a bad sign when you are the home of something super trivial. When they go, Turlock, California, the turnip capital of the world. Like, okay, I'd have a fucking meeting and go, we got to do better than turnips, people.
Whenever you leave New York and get into Jersey, it's like Newark, New Jersey, the embroidery capital of America.
It's like
not even the world, America.
It's like announcing I'm not an international jewel thief. I'm more regional. Like I do the Glendale Burbank hub. Yes, come up with something even if you can't. Oh God, I remember a million years ago. I pissed everyone off in DeKalb, Illinois. DeKalb, Illinois. Chris, you should look into this because there's a lot of these places have this claim to fame, but when you're from LA, it's like, who gives a shit? Yeah. Like once in a while they go, what do you mean there are no female inventors? A female invented whiteout. She invented the white shit you paint over misspellings.
That was the mother of Mike Nesmith from the Monkees,
From the Monkees, right. But I'm just saying, if you are putting her forward as one of the great female inventors who invented basically white shit that already existed. White paint, gesso. You put a blob of gesso over your misprint, that means you have no pool. You have nobody to choose from.
There's a lot of fuck-ups, though.
It's true, but what I'm saying is, DeKalb, Illinois, I got to DeKalb, Illinois. I had 13 people tell me that this was the barbed wire capital. It was like they invented barbed wire here. And I was like, did they invent barbed wire? Because wire existed and barbs existed. You just made a peanut butter cup out of
Yeah,
you put barbs on.
The nickname is Barb City.
Do they just have like prisons? Are they known for prisons?
You invented a thing that keeps cows in a certain area. That's not a big. Stop bragging about
And a
that.
mild deterrent for prison escape.
Right. Like, it doesn't even work.
And now we can blame them for Pamela Anderson's movie. That's their fault. There would never been a barbed wire if it weren't for DeKalb.
In
I
Barb,
fell right
that's a
back
good
in love with
point.
Pam Anderson on that documentary. Fell right
too.
back in. She got me right back in.
She pulled you in.
Even so much that her crazy amount of marriages, by the end, I was like, the girl just loves love.
I spent a full day with her. It was a delightful day.
Really?
Yeah, we had a love day in Malibu, her and I.
With some day drinking?
Yeah, we did some day drinking. She did some cartwheels for the paparazzi. She was a delightful woman.
Is it alarming what percentage of marriages that end in divorce when they interview the woman? She goes, I knew walking down the aisle this probably wasn't going to happen. It's like, really? That day? You couldn't make it 3 weeks into the marriage? I agreed to marry him, but I knew he wasn't Tommy. I really wasn't into him. Like,
So I was like, as he
why
said,
didn't you tell him then?
As he
Tell
said-
him.
Ah, fuck it.
As
Let's
you
see
said-
where this goes.
As he said I do, he got a Coke nosebleed. So
Right.
that was the first sign.
All right, well, good. Let's talk about that doc. I saw it. But just to put a button on barbed wire in DeKalb, Illinois, a couple things. It strikes me now that barbed wire doesn't work for people it's supposed to work on. Like, when you're prepared, like you're an illegal coming over the border, you just throw a furniture pad over the top of it and you scoot right over the top and pull your 4-year-old with you, like, no problem. Barbed wire only fucks up people like me who had barbed wire around the shop, and twice a year I fuck up and I leave my keys or something in there and the gate closes and now I have to kind of negotiate. Like, I'd say it fucks up more innocent citizens than it does actual criminals who are prepared. Like, the Germans show up with their wire cutters in the middle of the night in World War II and clear it.
Yeah, in a life-changing decision, it's not going to slow you down much, barbed wire. It's a minor deterrent.
Yeah.
The thing that made me very unpopular with the good people of DeKalb, where I played my first college gig with Dr. Drew in like 1998, their big argument was, we invented barbed wire. I was like, that's a zero. Then they're like, Cindy Crawford was born here. And I was like, where's she now? Because I don't care where you're born. She's in Malibu right now. Like, everyone's born randomly.
Let's go to Kansas and see Johnny Depp's childhood home.
Right. Like,
Shit.
people are born in Kosovo, in like war-torn Kosovo, and then they come here and they do something.
Yeah,
So
she
where
got
you're
out.
born is random, has nothing to do with who you are, and DeKalb has nothing to do with it, and Cindy Crawford. It's where did Cindy go after her 15th birthday?
Yeah, Malibu should be saying Cindy Crawford is here.
Everyone
Right.
should be claiming where people showed up, not where they left. That's random.
Something you said with the barbed wire caught me. Did you watch that Peacock limited series called Shadowland about
No.
the people getting all wrapped up in the conspiracies
I
and
hadn't
basically
heard that.
how January 6th happened? But one of they always each episode kind of focuses on one lunatic who's doing it. And there's a lady, just like a chubby mom-looking lady. She makes it her job every night to go down to the border of Mexico and waits for women with their children to come, like, crying across the border, and then she goes and politely just turns them around.
Really?
Like they made a mistake. They go, "Oh no, it's that way," and they don't speak English, and they come in, and she doesn't speak Spanish,
Right.
but she keeps telling they're what do you call it, closed captioning. They're translating the Spanish in the bottom of the screen, and she'll be like, "What happened? Did the cartel sex traffic you here?" And they're just holding babies, and they're just looking at each other and like, is she asking if they sex trafficking the cartels? Like, what? And then she goes, they were sex trafficked. Like, she just looks at the camera. They were sex trafficked by the cartels. She goes, don't worry, they're going to get you a nice blanket and a cage for your baby. But she did, it's all with a smile.
I got to say, according to the news, or at least what I read or see on Twitter, whatever, in 2023, racism and sex trafficking are up like 189%.
I'm having a moment.
And
Yeah,
if you
it's
would
a
have asked
shining
me
moment for
in 1995, like if you said to me, like in 1995, human trafficking, sex trafficking, and racism, 2023, where are we going to be? I'm going to be like, 0? We're going to be riding in hovercrafts.
It'll be solved by then.
What are you talking about? So let's talk about that Pam Anderson
Doc.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too.
It's hard not to enjoy a doc, I've found.
Well,
They do a good job.
there's one on Pez candy that's a little
That's
tough
deep.
to swallow. Some of them are a little brutal, but Pam's a good subject.
I agree. Now, first things first with Pam. Is she smart or not?
Yes.
She's
I think
smart.
she
And I
is,
think
yeah.
I think this is just what I think. I think she stepped into the role of playing dumb because she assumed that's what people assumed from her. Mm-hmm. I think she just stepped into that role.
You're right.
Also, I think the mistake everyone made, including Tommy Lee, it seemed, with her, was because she looked the part. I think he thought she was like a sexed up, like wild girl.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's not that wild.
She seems really like.
But I'm saying, I think for all
sweet.
like for all like being like the face of sex in her heyday,
Yeah.
I don't think this was like a orgies, threesome.
I don't
girls
think
home
any-
for- I
I-
don't think she brought girls home for Tom. I just don't think that was.
I
her.
don't think anybody who puts that facade out is that. Like,
Yeah. Unless you're
look no
in a
further
porno.
than Ellen. Mean as shit. But she wants people to be good humans and she's dancing all the time. Fuck that. You know, anybody who's pressing of an agenda, like a facade, whether it's nice or whether it's sex pot, or even sometimes the guys who are tough guys, you know, with all the tats and the biceps and stuff, that's just a caricature
Facade, yeah.
that they're put. The real badasses are the guys you can't tell are
Yes.
tough. You know what I mean? Like the guys who really, know any of the Gracie,
They don't wear it on
jiu-jitsu,
their sleeve
MMA
like that,
guys,
yeah.
they're just wearing a fucking T-shirt and sweatpants. Those are the guys. It's the guys with the tats and the ponytails and the I'm a badass and all. Those are the guys who are pushing the facade. I think the sex pot women probably have less sex. Like the freakiest chicks are like, we're doing that story on the female cop who was fucking everyone in the precinct.
Yeah.
You see a picture of her. Doesn't
You're like,
look like
"What?"
much. Yeah, it's the freaky teacher that doesn't look like much.
Yeah.
But it's so weird that we haven't.
She had a very tiny mouth, didn't she?
Well, not
ingrained.
anymore.
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah, it's been yoked
Now
out.
she's got Joker scars.
Oh, you can do it. I tried to do it with Bernadette Peters. It didn't work. I need a bigger
Should have
yoke.
hollow her out.
I needed a bigger auger.
I was not expecting you to say yoked out.
I used to be a carpenter, so I have certain terms I use when it comes to
It was very
that
hip-hop.
apply to the female anatomy as well.
But and then when Tommy Lee said that's what I think he almost like kind of takes absorbs the blame for it too. But as soon as she had kids, I think her outward appearance was still like the sex pot. But I think at home she just like double breast pumps, and Tommy Lee was like, "Where is my rock slut wife at?"
Right.
I need a slutty mom.
And
He's like, why
she's
isn't she a slutty mom?
She's like, "I'm mashing peas in the room for the kids," and he's like,
He is old school. I've never done this in a relationship where I explain I want to come first. You know what I mean? Like his thing was these two little creatures, you're spending all your time. I'm number one. Like I'm the dude. I go out and drum for 6 weeks out of the year. And I'm home. He's home all the time. Like, all right. So it is weird that, well, okay. So here's the question. We see good looking people and we see the sex pot woman and we just assume, oh, she's really good in bed and she has sex all the time and wouldn't it be great? And then we see the sort of frumpy librarian, and I don't assume they have sex any of the time. It's very naive of us because the librarian has 7 kids. She's definitely getting sex. You know what I mean? And oftentimes the sex bot doesn't have kids or has 2 kids or less kids than the chick. So is it all sort of based on how much we want to fuck them?
Yes.
And we just assume other guys aren't fucking them because you don't want to fuck them, but the one you want to fuck, you must fuck all the time?
I'll tell you the one of the shockers, because she did fuck a decent amount of people, at least like celebrities, when she was going through that list. And as much as I feel like I knew Pamela, because she was like, I was right in the age of like she was it at one point. And then when she was reading through her journals, she's like, I think I might be in love with Mario Van Peebles.
Right.
You lost all. You lost
you
all
were dating
respect.
Mario Van Peebles in there somewhere? She goes, boy, I sure hope Scott Baio doesn't find out I love Mario Van Peebles.
Well, Scott Baio is a compulsory fuck. If you
Well, yeah,
wanna,
he was
if you
the
come to Hollywood and you're a starlet, you have to fuck Scott Baio real quick, and then you can
Then you
get
can get
on.
into-
well, yeah, he's like the
Hollywood.
Walmart greeter of
It's
the
like the
Playboy Mansion,
prelims
though,
and
yeah.
the skating,
The
do a figure
initiation.
8. Okay, then you can go into the freestyle. But First,
at
we
gate
need you to
security
complete this.
when you go to all the lots.
Yes. So, I liked the doc. It was kind of interesting. It had to be uncomfortable for Tommy Lee's current wife,
Brittany.
Well,
Brittany.
she had said something. She made fun of it or something. Mm-hmm. I think she like a Pam Anderson filter and said Pam Anderson wouldn't give a shit if she died.
Brittany's got a good sense of humor. She has a dark sense of humor. She's funny.
Oh yeah, I've done her podcast. Is it a thing though? If you're Tommy Lee, even though it's a little bit of a hassle with Brittany.
Well, to tell her how hot she is, that Tommy Lee's 80 years old and he has to laugh every day when she comes and shows her vines to him or whatever it is. She's like, "Is this funny? I'm doing a racist Indian character." And he's going to go, "Yeah, babe, that's great."
Is it good? If you're Tommy Lee, do you kind of like it? Like, as a guy, you would think you don't want two chicks fighting over you, but you would like it.
Oh, for sure. I would think you would. I would think it would rub that male ego a little bit, no?
I don't know about at his age anymore. It probably is more annoying to him.
Well, especially because he has sons and maybe it affects the dynamic. I would think you're probably right. At this point, it's all right, can we move on from all of the conversation and the chitter chatter about my ex-wife?
But doesn't it feel good if you find out your ex isn't over you? Isn't that
I like
flattering
that.
feeling?
Oh, he definitely likes that. But I mean, yeah, she's also 60-something now, right? Pam Anderson? Or late 50s?
Later
I don't know.
50s. And how good is it for you, Jay, being the age you are? You explain. So let me lament something, and I'll
Wait, are you going to jump off
compliment
Pamela
you.
Anderson?
No, I'm on her.
Oh, okay.
You both are on her.
I haven't rolled off.
Yeah, another
I'm still
funny
on
one.
top. No, we're not going from Pam Anderson.
He's yoking her still.
What I'm saying is this. I'm older than you. When I grew up, I would watch Charlie's Angels and Wonder Woman and stuff, and I would fantasize. I literally had fantasies about Wonder Woman, Linda Carter and Cheryl Ladd having some kind of lesbian encounter or something, but all it was a fantasy.
Yeah, in your head.
There was no documentation of anything. There wasn't even a picture. The best you could do with Linda Carter was her in her Wonder Woman outfit.
Yeah.
That was all. That was all you got. There was no nude or boob shots. Nothing. There's no internet. There's no anything. And I thought to myself, then when Baywatch came out, I was older. There was porn. Who gives a shit? I'm not really into Pam Anderson. Fine. But if you were 13 or 14 watching Baywatch, and then somebody if somebody tapped me on the shoulder when I was 14 and went, "You love Cheryl Ladd, right?" I went, "Yeah." I have a movie of her sucking this giant hog on a steamboat, and then getting fucked. I would have gone.
It was the first
I would have
one.
gone out of my mind.
It was
steamboat?
It was the first
a
one of those.
houseboat.
Is it really a steamboat?
He's steering a boat with
On
his
the Mississippi?
dick.
He was
That's
shoveling
right.
coal with his dick into the...
That's right.
Floating around the Ozarks?
I said I would have gone insane if you possessed a movie of Cheryl Ladd or Wonder Woman
Pam
doing
Anderson,
that.
Pam Anderson, I fell in love with her when she was on Tool Time.
Yep.
Oh, that's right. She was
perfect.
one of the
She was
girls.
right before she kind of got surgery and stuff. The problem was by the time she had the porn tape, which was great, it was huge when it came out. I remember me and my friends split the $60 VHS to
How
get
old
it.
were you?
Probably, it was 95. I was 17.
Yeah.
Do you have to
Prime
get that
age.
from a dealer, or is it?
No, they had it in
you just order
porn
online?
stores or
not? I mean,
whatever.
you call a number. Oh, okay.
The porn truck showed up.
porn-
It was
porn
like
truck.
the Amazon truck
porn truck, yeah.
of its day.
But it was such a
delivery.
big deal to get it. But the thing was, as great as it was, to see that, you're like, wow, Pam Anderson, finally, this moment. It was not. What's the best way to put it? It just was a grainy thing. It didn't really necessarily show that she was doing
cry me
anything
a fucking river. I didn't have anything.
No.
You feel
But you're
cheated.
absolutely right. But that was the greatest thing for me. Was magazines, porn magazines growing up, and there was one that I've memorized. I still can tell you the candid pussy shots or tit shots of so many famous people. Celebrity Skin magazine. Do you
Oh,
remember that?
right. Yeah.
That was a
That's
game
creepy.
changer. It was a magazine of just and mostly it was nude scenes. It was what Mr. Skin
Right.
became ultimately. So it was hey, you like Alyssa Milano? Here's her tits in that vampire movie, and here's her ass, and
Like a still of.
like a still of it, and like a write up about it. But then that was
What,
also
write
when,
up about the tit? Here's
Yeah.
the areola. What do
Oh.
guys write about tits?
the vampire movie. It tells you that Charlotte Lewis was in it from The Golden Child. Gives you the whole rundown.
Wow.
And the picture of the tits. But the first candid shots of stuff like that was huge. Alyssa Milano naked on the beach, big bush.
Like paparazzi shots? Or are these like deeper cut photographers?
Paparazzi shots. Yeah, just catching her. Like,
Right.
For some reason, she was frolicking naked on a beach, and they got her. And those things were absolutely huge. Pam Anderson, when I was 13, though, I had got the Playboy. I remember the picture where she's wearing a cowboy hat on the cover. And I had that Playboy and didn't think I was such a little 13-year-old perv. I went to the Philadelphia car show to meet her. She does like a little the weird thing. And a 13-year-old fat kid just hands this grown woman a picture of her own pussy. And I go, here. And she goes, oh my God, how did you get this? And I went, huh? And then she just signed it and gave it back to me. And I'd love to apologize to her for that at some point in life. Like, that must have been awkward as hell.
You can do it now. You can apologize to her now.
The 13-year-old is giving you a picture of your own snatch.
I love the concept that you were alluding to earlier of like going in on porn with your buddies or like sharing porn. People don't realize, like, I had a buddy. He had a VHS player in his room. No one else had a VHS player. His dad had Taboo 2 and like Sex Boat. We'd have to go group watch it. Sex Boat, Taboo 2. We'd have to like group watch it. You know what I mean?
What do you
Share it.
mean? Like a circle? Whatever.
Nah,
what do they call that?
We'd actually form more of a line. Circle.
Like a military line?
You can't do a circle because that means one guy's got his back to the TV, you know, and
A
that.
semicircle around it, like
And
the circle.
also, circle suggests like a circular firing squad. You know, there's a lot of death and
So you
mayhem.
guys
in that.
talk while you're watching. Is there like a buffer of space between each of you?
Yeah,
There
what's
was a
the
little
space?
jockeying for elbow room, except for the bad sofa. It was like the futon couch we're sitting on was only so wide, and the three dudes were big. I remember like people. It was so funny. Like Jimmy Kimmel and I like bonded over Sex Boat.
Wow.
Like I remember when I met him. I don't know. We started talking, and I was like, my friend's dad had Sex Boat, and we would. I mean, my dad didn't have it, and we didn't have a V, but my friend's dad did, and Jimmy's like, my neighbor, my friend, his dad had Sex Boat too, and I used to go to his. You would have to go to other people's houses to watch porn.
Well, we used to do, my dad.
And then go in on a Pam Anderson movie because it was $60.
It was coveted.
My dad wasn't around at all for me to find his porn, so we used to go to other kids' houses and find their dad's porn, and then take that, and then they would get in trouble.
Yeah, one person just had to.
And the best part is when they have to come, like, hat in hand, and say, he goes, my dad's pissed. Like, did you guys take his Dirty Debutantes number 43? And I'm like, did I take it? Like, why do you think I would even do that?
I borrowed it.
Yeah.
Did your dad have porn, but he wasn't around?
He wasn't around, yeah.
So he packed
I'm sure
his
he
porn?
had porn. Yeah, you know, it's actually, I used to be when I went to go visit him in Ohio one time, I did find his porn collection, and I found it to be semi-concerning because it was straight porn, mostly like straight regular porn, and then like these little like black and white almost magazines that were trans, like swingers and all this kind of weird like contact stuff. You know, you can contact them through whatever hotline or something. And I never asked my dad about it, and I always was a little like, that's weird. Is my dad like into trans stuff? And then I do not think he was at all, because I learned as I got older, if you're a frugal person, you will buy your porn magazines in a 3-pack that says 3 for like $9.99, and you get to see the cover of 2 of them. But that one in the middle, I've had more things that I would never look at myself. You know what I mean? Exactly. Like it'll just be like a gay porn magazine in the middle. Now, he did keep it. In fairness to that.
Well, I can cop to that
Yeah.
too, because couple things. I must have had the only dad in America that did not have porn.
At all.
Oh, the only atheist dad.
Or maybe he hit it really, really well, like in the floorboards.
Maybe there was
Too
a little
dark.
Edgar Allan Poe situation going on. But no, my dad, I mean, Chris knows, these guys know my dad. He didn't have a bottle of booze, a beer in the fridge, or a Playboy in the under the sink in the bathroom. Like he didn't have any of the trappings of any modern America male anything. It didn't exist. He never had it. So I would go to when I babysat at my neighbor's house, he had a Playboy underneath the sink, and then Revi and Ronnie, the Israeli kids I used to babysit too, like up the street, his dad had like 2 Playboys, and I remember just kind of looking forward to, I'm babysitting on Saturday night. Like, I'm definitely getting into that Playboy.
You'd go babysit and look at porn.
Playboys.
Wow.
And as far as a defense of your dad, I somehow acquired a gay porn something called Cult Roundup once, and it wasn't anal sex or anything. It was just nude dudes, and it somehow ended up in my garage. I was living in the garage, and I was like, I'm not interested in this, but I also kind of took an oath to never throw away porn. And I think it's funny.
That's honorable.
There's some funny shit.
When you were sworn in.
We can't say you're not worried about the environment.
When I put my hand on the Hustler and was sworn in,
Yeah.
I took an oath. And I don't know. I was like, I don't want to throw away porn just in general. I don't like that look, whatever kind of porn it is. And then also there was things in it that made me laugh.
I was going to say, also, gay porn to a straight person who's not uptight is hilarious.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
The motifs are funny, like the guy's wearing boots and he's got a kerchief and he's like stacking hay, but his dick is hanging out and it's greased up a little bit.
That is funny.
We may have talked about this before. Do you remember the brief in-between moment in magazine porn where they went from no penetration to penetration, but the no penetration, it was a slow like work towards it, because then it would be like guy, girl, but she would be like holding the dick and like looking at the camera like it's gonna
happen.
Yeah.
So close.
Open mouth. Yeah, it's like it's right there. Or a girl like spreading her lips open, and like it's always like right there. They couldn't just show it being inside. That was such a weird.
Yeah. No, I remember that.
And then
era.
Penthouse started showing. They started yellow color enhancing girls pissing pictures, and then everyone's
my
like, I think we
gosh.
have to get a little more hardcore.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a little too far.
That's
it's
like what happens. I feel like you guys have an interesting perspective because you came from the analog porn era into the digital porn era.
I think
Yes.
I have a problem. I think if I grew up with the accessibility, I'd have had a problem.
Do you feel like you both experienced that? Like there's a scarcity to it that you guys were born into.
Scarcity.
Well, there was.
Yeah, no, we were fucking.
There's a porn scarcity.
I was like a truffle hunting pig. I mean, guys,
Yeah.
I'd have to go out in the woods and scour. You know
how
what I
we
mean?
couldn't find eggs is what porn was back in the day. It's very hard to find.
Most of the porn I got hold of came from a dumpster or a trash can, or somebody's wife got pissed off and told me you got to chuck the collection or whatever. I would go trash picking and find porn.
I had a hookup when I was like 14 or 15. My buddy worked at a magazine stand in Philly, and when they don't sell like this month's High Society or Cherry magazine,
Right.
they would take them and send them back to the company or something, and there was just like a box of that, and he would just grab. It is weird in hindsight what he must have thought, because he didn't keep any for himself. He just didn't give a shit about porn. Even as a teenager, and he would just give it all to me, and I'd be like, and he'd be like, he's like, there's 2 of this one. I go, I'll take them both.
Yeah, you'll share with your
So,
friends.
yeah, I mean, somebody will be like, I'm like, hey, you think that girl's hot? Here's your very own, bud.
My mom had a collection
Good
of
friend.
Playgirl, and
Nice.
I remember looking at them when I was little, and there was in the middle, it was a fold out of Burt Reynolds, full frontal.
Yeah.
Yes, do you
Jay's
know
doing
that?
it.
Do you know that?
That's an
one?
iconic
The
picture.
That
Burt
was
Reynolds.
from Cosmopolitan originally, I think.
Well, this was in a Playgirl.
I think they took it from Cosmo
Wow.
and put it in, but we can look, Ben, and see when the
Yeah.
original.
The thing
Burt
about
Reynolds-
all the analog magazines and porn, like when you guys have experienced this, you've watched the same movies, like you knew what Sex Boat was. It was like the Ed Sullivan Show. Like everybody watched the same things, but
Yes.
now
Yes.
That's the picture.
That's
yeah.
from
It was
Cosmo.
in
Oh, it
this-
is.
Wow.
Oh no, it's a Cosmopolitan
Maybe it was
man.
a different guy. Everyone looked the same back then to me. All
it's
the
like
men
that's-
had that hair, just the spattering of hair. So maybe it was a different individual. It was a Playgirl. I have both the magazines because they're cool. They're from, the 60s. She also had a book called The Joy of Sex. Did you ever hear that book?
Yes, I'm sure that was a big seller.
I
I don't know.
actually-
She kept it in the closet.
I didn't
I
read
actually-
any of it, but
Actually,
Cosmopolitan magazine, Ben, is where it came from. Is that correct? Yes. So it came
It's
from
awesome.
there, moved over there.
My grandfather had, like, he was big on, like, he loved movies and stuff, and he would rip movies from, like, West Coast Video. He had the 2 VCR system to pull them. So he had, like, Playboy videos, 1 through whatever, which was a fascinatingly long jerk session because it would be, like, too much like Tales of Ribaldry. And like that kind of like sex scene with like a girl, like a Lady Chatterley kind of thing.
Ribald,
it'll
was
be
it
like,
Ribaldi?
but then it would be,
Yeah, Lady Chatterley's lover.
but then
yeah.
it would be like Gregory, whoever Gregory Hines tells a joke now,
Right, yeah. And dances.
Yeah, and you're like holding your wiener, and you're like, get out of here, Gregory Hines.
No, so let's take a deep dive. First off, people have no idea what lengths we would have to go to. I had a friend who worked at Dale's Jr., which is like kind of like Quickie Mart place or whatever. He helped himself to the porn rack. He'd pill for a couple of porns a week, but at the end of the month, he had a stack of porn. I was like 19. I was like, you want to have a porn trade? And I like showed up with a trash bag of my porn magazines. We sat in his 1-bedroom apartment. I remember he's like, my roommate's asleep, so kind of keep it down. And he's pulling out his like Cherry and Wee and Hustler. And I'm like, yeah, all right, I got a Gent, a D cup. I'll say, and we're like swapping.
Fan them out.
Got it,
It's like
need
baseball
it.
cards.
Yeah, like, I could imagine talking to my son about a trash bag full of porn magazines and sitting in a dude's living room on the floor. Like this took up an afternoon. This is entire working day for me.
I used to come home from school, and I said, because my buddy gave me his magazines, I had a ton of porn magazines. And a couple of friends, like if they would come over after school, some of the times they just want to look at the porn magazines, or I'd tell them they could have old ones or whatever. And I'd bring down, what I did was, it was a telescope box. I don't know where the telescope was, but it was a telescope box. And one of those, like Toys R Us, you buy telescopes. But, pretty big box.
Yeah.
And it's covered with 3 stacks all the way up. And the box is like stressed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's coming. And
We all are.
And my little brother was like maybe 2-3 years old at the time. And we thought, me and my friends in high school thought it was the funniest thing to show him the pictures and be like, hey, Bobby, big tits. That's big tits right there. And we make it funny to make him say that. And I remember sitting home with my family one night. My mom and my stepfather were there. And my little brother was like playing on the floor. We're watching a movie on HBO. I think we had just gotten cable too. And there was a scene on where there was like nudity in it. And my little brother just looks up. He's like, big tits. And my mom was like, what? He's like, big tits. Almost like it was like a dog. She was like, what are you talking about, boy? He's like, big tits. And then just like a zombie while saying big tits, just walked up the stairs, like autistically, just saying big tits over and over again, until he went and just stared at that box in my closet. And my mom was like, big tits? And he's like, big tits. She touched that box. That was so fun. And it just, watching it like kind of go up the stairs, I was like, what are you doing, Mom? This is like crazy. It just rained porn magazines. I was just laying there while they were just falling out of the, 70 magazines just falling out, just hitting my mom and raining on. I was like, is that where those were?
Your mom being rained dongs on her face.
Yeah, I
Paper dong.
had to be like, oh, big tits. I do get it now.
Here's
to it.
Here's the saddest testimonial ever as it pertains to porn, I think. You tell me if there's any sadder story. I had a friend named Tom. I had one black friend, and he was the only rich friend I had. So we really flipped the script there. And we used to hit a house up in the hills. His dad was a hand surgeon. Me and my poor white buddies from the valley, we'd always end up at Tom's house because we could eat. There was food. And he had one of these old school, first gen, like projection TVs, the one that had the weird
You gotta pull
lights
the
and
cabinet out.
everything. And
Lights in the
it was just a
drawer.
crazy, but it was 54 inches. I mean, I was used to a 13-inch Zenith, like black and white.
You can
know,
almost
so
only watch it at nighttime too, because
Yeah,
any daylight in the room you couldn't see anything.
you'd have to
at
put
all.
like
foggy.
foil up on the windows in order to see what was going on the screen. And you had to sit directly in
Yes.
front of it. If you're 3 feet to the left, it just looked like static. But yet, there it was. And it was, 55-inch. First, cost $3,000 in 1979 or whatever. This was huge. And my buddies told me, hey, he had cable, or he had the package or whatever. I didn't have any cable. My dad was poor. We didn't have any porn. We didn't have anything. And they were like, Saturday night, 2 Saturdays from now, Russ Meyer's Beyond the Valley of the Ultra Vixens is on at 8:00 at night, and Tom's parents are out of town. And I was like, oh dear God, this is going to be awesome.
This is an event.
And I circled the calendar, I circled. I was crossing off every day, and then it came to the Friday, and I was at school, and I'm talking to my friends. I'm going to Tom's house Saturday. This week his parents are out of town. This is going to be awesome because this Russ Meyer's movie is going to be playing on TV or Showtime or whatever it is. Oh my God, it's good. What a night. What a night. So I show up at Tom's palatial estate with the big backyard and the swimming pool and everything. And, as planned, get there early. It's be here by 7:30. Movie starts at 8. We're going to raid Tom's refrigerator, and then we're going to go eat a bunch of shit in his stepdad's room. This is going to be the best night of my life. And my friend meets me down on this service door, and he lets me in, and he goes, why don't you just walk to the back of the house? And I'm like, yeah, let's go. We're going to watch this movie. And he opens the curtains with the French doors and everything, and there's 200 people in the backyard because they've thrown a surprise birthday party. My 18th birthday surprise birthday. There's all my classmates, all my friends are all there with a keg, surprise! As I walk in, and I'm standing there, I'm in shock, and I turn to my friend, I'm like, are we still going to watch this Russ Meyer's movie?
You got your jizz sock hanging out of your back pocket,
That's right.
Standing there half
Gym
stabbed.
shorts.
I got my lube kit. I got my gym sock. I got the backup sock. I got the face
Sure,
shield.
I break for jacking.
And I'm literally all right, listen, let's just, whatever we got to do here with these people, let's mop it up so we can get into the, and he's like,
Guys, let's just get right to the cake. What do you say? Happy birthday, sum this up.
The king.
for he's a jolly good fellow. We get it. And he's like, there is no Russ Meyer's movie. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, what the? You knew this would be the way you could get me to that.
Yeah, hey Adam, I got you blue balls for your birthday. I hope it fits.
I was devastated the whole party. I was moping,
Is that what
walking
happens when you
around,
show up here? They just keep telling you that they're going to show you porn in your
hanging
studio.
my head. Yeah, they're like, we got porn launching.
So you
Do
get
you
your
find
time.
you're the creature of habit too? What I find funny with all the availability of porn, where I say I would have been in a problem, your habits are your habits. How often I'll go on this. I've almost made an active decision to not do this. Go on the craziest search to find, I don't know what I'm looking for. And then oftentimes still, I go back to a clip I've already seen. Because you just know it. You're like, yeah, that one works. It's good. And you get right back to it. Because that kind of takes me back.
Food.
That kind of takes me back to like when you had a porn magazine, you'd grab a porn magazine and go into the bathroom as a teenager or your bedroom. And it was like, you knew every picture almost by heart. And you just go to the one and goes, I'm going to go to that one that I like. And just focus on that. Now it's like there's too much I bet there's something better than this one, and just click out.
That's with everything.
Too many choices.
Too many choices.
Make people unhappy.
Creates porno option paralysis.
Jay, I'm very interested in this. I was ridiculed by roommates when I would rent a porn and watch. I'd go through the whole thing. I'd have to scrub through the whole thing and then go back to the part that I liked. Yeah. And then I was made fun of by my roommates. Just watch the porn. And then if you see a spot you like. And I'm like, but maybe there's someone I went to high school with who's further on in this movie. And, the semen those are my children, you know what I mean? Literally, I would just, what if I bust a nut 18 minutes into this thing, and there's some hottie I went to high school with who's 39 minutes in this thing, and then I walk out and get hit by a bus.
Yeah.
Then what?
Yeah, you're not wrong. I completely agree with that.
I scrub through.
I do that too. The beauty of it now, you just got to put the cursor like along the
so you can see
the play
image,
bar,
like,
and you just see that little
Netflix.
image. And they go, oh, it is going to get to anal. All right, I'll hang in there.
But let me also say this, referring back to the choices and the ubiquity of it, and now these kids these days. So I have two heads on that, pardon the pun. One is yes, they're holding a phone and they can watch whatever, whenever, all the time. And then we look at it through our jaundiced lens of when we were 15 and what we would have done with that phone. But I'll make a comparison. I was nuts for food. My mom was kind of a health fooder. We didn't get any fun cereal in the house. There was no cupcakes or donuts or anything. And when I went to other people's houses, I went fucking nuts. I would go right for the pantry if they had space sticks or cupcakes or whatever. I was out of my mind. My kids live in a house that has a jumbo-sized box of C's candy, the big 3-footer for Christmas. Since Christmas, they haven't fucking touched it.
Really?
They just walk past it. My son, now I have a different relationship with it. I stand next to it and kind of white knuckle it and go, okay, I'll have two. I'll just have two because I was growing up.
You're reading the sheet that was like
The
butter or
diagram.
almonds.
Yeah, because I grew up like
Cherry
a
pecan?
crazed raccoon, you know what I mean, in a dumpster, like a junkie, you know. So the other night, I pull it off because I got a big dog who could get into it. I pull it down. It's like 10:30 at night, and I'm trying to bargain with myself. Like, okay, you get three. Okay, 3 and then 1 with nuts because the nuts ones aren't bad. Just the 3 ones
That's a
and then the
salad.
1 nuts one.
Mostly it's
the
protein.
salad of the C's box.
Yeah.
Come on, those are whole almonds, barely any chocolate.
Heart healthy.
All right, 3 and there's 2 nut-based ones. All right, a peanut-based one and then a walnut-based
Candied
one.
almond.
Yeah, candied almond. That's health food. And I'm like, and like my son like walks into the kitchen and he's like, oh, do you mind if I just have one? And I'm like, yeah, have whatever you want. He's like, yeah, just the one. And he like pulls the one out and he walks away because it's ubiquitous. It's around him. There's no taboo.
No, you're right,
He's
yeah.
not. I see a box of chocolate and I get this like weird adrenaline surge. You know, it's just part of his landscape. So maybe porn will kind of be the same way. Do you know what I'm saying? Like we can't graft our 15-year-old brain onto today's ubiquity of porn.
I hope not. I mean,
No, but it's also how you take it in too. Like I went to me and Jeff Ross years ago were in Sydney, Australia together. We went to Bondi Beach and saw the girls, beautiful women, like topless sunbathing, and we were ogling. We were the problem for sure. But what I was more ogling was 13-year-old boys playing football right near them, not looking at them at all. It's just not, they're like numb to it. Like you
Right.
said, it's not crazy to see that. So they're like, whatever. But
There's
I'm
no
like,
value.
when I was 13, you'd have thought I was a surfer. I'd have been like, I'm going to hit the beach again, Mom. She goes, you love that beach. I go, fun in the sun. What are you going to do?
get some vitamin D.
Especially when you look like you with your shirt off. You're almost depriving the other
Jeff
people on the
Ross.
beach from the gun show, right?
He goes, it's only fair I get out there, show them what's
You
up.
and Jeff, yeah, you got to
casting
unleash.
huge shadows over bare-chested.
All right, let's
women.
take a quick break, and we'll be back with more Big J and Jessimae right after this. Let me tell you about the Jordan Harbinger Show, a different kind of sponsor for this podcast. It is the Jordan Harbinger Show. If you like fascinating podcasts and interesting people, then you should definitely check it out. There's an episode for everyone. No matter what you're into, Jordan talks to Scott Adams about persuasion in a world where facts don't matter, or you go inside the dark world of wildlife trafficking. You'll always find something useful to apply to your own life, like routine changes to boost productivity or slight mindset tweaks to change how you see the world. We enjoy the show. We've had Jordan on a few times, been on this show. He's been on me and Drew's show a few times. We know you're going to as well. So it's the Jordan Harbinger Show. That's HARB as in boy, IN as in Nancy, GER. And you find it on Apple Podcasts and wherever you listen to finer podcasts. It's the Jordan Harbinger Show.
And now, Alcoa presents Definitely not a Jew! On the Adam Carolla Show. Dateline, Maddox, North Dakota. A 38-year-old woman was charged with fish and game violations, tampering with evidence, and providing false information to law enforcement after she was arrested for going into a bar with her pet raccoon. Definitely not a Jew.
Thank the good people from Alcoa sponsoring that segment for now. Going on, it's got to be over 15 years, right, Dawson?
2006 is the earliest I can remember.
Yeah. So thank you for so many years of sponsorship.
That bid is bigger than Alcoa now. I see people who don't even know what Alcoa is, but they know the bid.
They manufacture aluminum.
That's what they're known for when you go into the town.
They were, barbed wire.
Manufacturer.
Chris, I'm serious. Like, you got to look up who, like, the rutabaga capital is, who's claiming.
When we went to Appleton, Wisconsin, we were asking everybody, what is this city known for? And everybody had the same answer. Oh, Willem Dafoe was born here.
Not enough.
Born here.
Where did
That's
he
such a
go?
weird thing,
Where did William Dafoe go?
You know, that's fine. It's not one of the Kennedys. You know, he's a character actor. Like, he's a fine actor, but that's not enough.
Also, Willem Dafoe looks like he's from everyone's bumfuck town.
He does.
He does have a wiry look, for sure.
He has like an anorexic face.
Yes.
It's so sucked in.
My
Odd
first
looking.
brush with fame with entering a town that was known for something was this town called Governor, New York, where we used to spend our summers. And when you drive into the little town, they'd have a big lifesaver statue, and that's what they were known for, the guy who created lifesavers. It was a big deal. I felt like I was a part of something big.
I'm sure.
In my world, I feel like when you're making too much of nothing, you're sort of admitting you're nothing. You know what I mean? Like, is there any sadder, like, I could always remember, like, my family had nothing to brag about, you know what I mean? But you still have to try to brag, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so,
Because my dad's got a sick collection of paper clips.
yeah, I mean, my grandmother would be like, our friend Jules Mandel is in Man of La Mancha from the Conejo Playhouse. I'd be like, that's not a thing. Or there was a book that Harry Hay, who was one of the pioneers of the gay movement, was a friend of my grandmother's, and she had a little byline in it or something. Like, no one's read that book. That's not a thing. So, in a weird way, it's sadder. Like if you ever go.
Well, you're from California, right?
I'm from here.
There is something that being out here that makes some things like more attainable and not as like exciting. You said you have to kind of find your own thing. Where I lived, even in Philly, which isn't far from New York and entertainment to some degree, like the kid across the street was in like a Fruit Loops commercial, and he might as well have been Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Remember Jared, the subway guy?
Yeah.
Everyone thought he was like a real celebrity. He used to go around towns, and people thought that was like a really big deal.
He stayed getting pussy.
In my
From Swiss cheese.
Over in my
Over nothing.
neighborhood, if a kid had like a real World War II German helmet, he was the celebrity of the neighborhood. Like,
and definitely not a Jew.
it didn't take it didn't take anything. But so like, as a guy who's a car guy, sometimes I'll run into someone and I'll go, oh yeah, I'm a car guy too. And I'll go like, what do you got? And he goes, oh man, I got a 67 Chevelle that my dad gave me, and I'm waxing it in the garage every day. And it's like, it's sad because it's not a cool car and there's not much to it. And you could probably find one on eBay for $9,000 right now. And it's just, it feels sadder than saying I have no Chevelle. That's what I'm saying. Making a big deal over nothing is sadder than having nothing.
A 1987 Buick Century. Not bragging.
I got an 88 Oldsmobile. That was my first car. With
Did everybody have a
interior.
car that had the steering wheel that like the wrap was around it almost?
Yeah.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
like vinyl, and then and then that wrap would start coming off, and it was the beginning of the end.
Yep. Everything started to fall off. The wheels fell off last. The wrap fell off first.
or
Remember
somebody
everyone
who
used to
has-
sit in the front seat?
Yeah.
The front seat was huge.
And the
Headliner.
that stuff, that falling
Start to
down.
rip.
When the headliner touches your head, you got to junk the car.
You do.
It's like it's like a built-in obsolescence, if I'm even using that right. Like it's a fail. Like when it gets to this point, you got to chuck it.
It's like your tire tread wearing away.
When I first, one of the things, I had a car always when I started comedy, so that was a good thing because you take other comics like on the, and they would, like Dave Attell would be like, "You have a car? Sure, let's go do this gig," and I would drive, and then when I started headlining anything at all, I was like, I'm gonna have somebody open for me, and they'll drive me. And I had a guy drive me to a show, and he picked me up, and the headliner. Literally, it was like around my, it was like a Steve Martin arrow. It was like laying across my head. It was crazy. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, oh no, you just gotta like mush it into like that yellow asbestos or whatever.
Puff it back in,
and it'll stay for a little bit, and then you just see it slowly start to come back down.
Did everyone's roof of the car also have cigarette burns? Wasn't that a thing? Because everyone used to smoke in the 80s.
There were cigarette burns on everything,
right?
In the 70s and the 80s. There was a lot. Every sofa in every living room had a couple of cigarette burns in it. The driver's side back of the car had it because a guy'd hang the cigarette out the window while he's going down the highway. At some point, the cherry would like blow off. So like all the vinyl seat behind the driver's side would have all these things.
Little circles.
Every fucking sleeping bag, every like parka.
It was the stamp of the 80s, a cigarette burn.
Yeah, everything had a cigarette. There was... God, we can even find it. There was a product, like a Ronco product that I used to see, like Ron Popeil. Like it was like a fabric repair thing because everyone smoked, everyone drank, and everything was made of naugahyde. So it would just, the tip would fall. Like every third house would burn down, and you go, what happened? The guy fell asleep while he was smoking.
Like single cigarette has taken down more homes.
They never said what really happened is he passed out while smoking. He didn't
drunk.
Fall asleep.
Yeah, Johnny Walker was in that house that night.
Yeah, no one puts on like the eye shade and the pointy cap and the nightgown and then has a cigarette hang out of their mouth and then lays down on a bed. They pass out on a sofa.
Such a hilarious, when I got my first new car I ever bought was a Hyundai Santa Fe in like 2005. And on the first weekend I had it, and it meant the world to me. It was the first car I ever got that was just mine for 0 miles on it when you get it. And I picked up Dave Attell to go to a gig, and I smoked too, so I didn't mind. He was like, you can smoke, right? I'm like, of course, dude, light it up. His first cigarette, he lights it, something happened, and he just turned and just drags it across the headliner stuff.
Oh, no.
The first week I have it, he goes, oh, shit. He was like, I bet that's expensive. He's like, let me know what it is. I'll pay for it. And I went like, it's not even, don't even worry about it. I had that car for like 15 years. And like, even when it died from mileage, it still had the Dave Attell from day like 2 of having it.
He's probably done that in every car he's gotten into. It's his signature. He just acts like he's apologizing.
So it's his Guy Fieri stamp.
Yeah. He's like, oops.
Yeah, there was, God, smoking was always such a thing. I worked with a guy who worked construction with a guy, and I'd always have to drive with his truck. I'd drive in his truck. It was Chris Darga, actually, the guy who's the artist now. He used the ashtray. He smoked a lot back then. He used the ashtray only for ashes, but not for butts. So he would throw the butt out the window, but when he was driving, he would ash into the ashtray. So he had a full pile of ash. It was like an urn in his Ford Explorer. Like it was, I've never seen not a butt to be found. And I don't know how many cigarettes you have to smoke to get a pile of ashes in there, but that's what you do. And then here's something you never see anymore, which is back in the day when you'd walk around the neighborhood or walk up the street or something, you'd see where the person emptied their ashtray on the street. They sort of dutifully collected all their butts, and then at the end went, fuck it. I hate the earth, and just dump it out on the street.
How about every time with, I guess, cars before the 2000s, anytime I got like a used car or something from the auction or whatever, the first fun thing to do is push in the lighter and see how far it ejects. That thing only works right. What a terror! Thank God they took those out of cars because
The lighter.
You got a cigarette. You're supposed to look at the road. You push that thing, and if you like are not holding your hand there, it like fire to hit the
Spring
floor.
loaded.
It's spring loaded.
Yeah.
But you also knew the car was a high mileage car. If you push it in, it just popped out immediately. It wouldn't stay.
Expensive car.
That meant it was yoked out, man. And
Straight
so
yoke.
then you knew
3
you had a
yokes.
problem because you'd hold it in. You'd have to hold it in so it would heat up, and then you guess when the coils are hot enough.
Yeah, scalding hot metal.
What's the invention now that we have that we're currently using that is so stupid? Because
All right, I got it.
okay, because
Unless you do.
No, I just think
I
of
got
the
it.
cigarette lighter.
I got a more dangerous,
An invention to kill
ubiquitous
ourselves.
weapon now
What is it?
that no one had 5 or 10 years ago. That is pretty ubiquitous now.
Not the cell phone.
The frother, the coffee frother. Mine has one speed. It's let's remove whatever's in this cup.
Let's empty out this
Let's
cup.
empty out this cup now.
We're gonna create the Moses parting of the sea.
Yes, I argue. Why do you even have that speed? You know what I mean?
Because we're here to fucking
We're
froth.
here to fucking take this scalding hot shit and throw it all over your chest. Like, boom, pow. I was standing last night in my kitchen. It's like, shut it. Then you panic a little, like you don't know. Should I pull it out and spray it everywhere?
There
or
is
should
a
I
distance from the bottom of the cup that creates a nice centrifugal force.
It's
It's difficult to get to, though.
I feel the same way. Like
Easy, doctor.
I had like the 10. I had like an industrial blender. Like, oh man, we're gonna make some margaritas. You know what I mean? But there's a speed on the blender that just removes the contents of the blender. Like it'll blow the lid
Yeah.
off. Like, why this speed? Who needs this speed? Why do I have to lean on it with my forearm? So like, it'll blow the little cap out of the center of the thing and just shoot it everywhere. Like when I was a kid, back to Charlie's Angels. There was like 2 ways you could kill somebody when I was a kid in like 70s cop detective stuff. One is you could cut the brake lines of the car. That's how you would kill somebody. Or when they went to the sauna, the spa, you put a chair under it.
Jesus.
You turn it all the way up. But they would turn it all the way up to like skull and crossbones. And even when I was like 12, I was like, why if you
Why is there a setting
manufacture,
that
why
can't
is there a
kill you?
setting that kills people? Doesn't sound right. But I feel the same way with the frother. This is the new item.
It's the fight. Why
Blows it out
Don't
of
ever turn it
coffee.
to 5. He goes, why is there a 5?
Yeah, why?
Exactly.
The maximum speed should not be able to remove the shit from the inside of the cup. That's it. Don't have a speed that goes. Some will have the 2 speed where you like click it and it's like, oh yeah, that seems
Which does
good.
nothing.
Does nothing. And then the second one is angry Tasmanian devil, crazy honey badger speed. Like just have a does nothing speed and then like have a medium speed. And I'd say the same thing with ceiling fans. Like
There's one.
there's one speed that doesn't do
So
anything.
yeah,
Why?
so slow. It's
it's
just visual.
There's also another speed, but there's also another speed that's going so fast that it's like it's shaking.
vortex
also.
speed, angry vortex
and you
speed.
see the globe light is moving too much.
Yes,
and you're like, that's
gonna
gonna
land
fall
on
one day.
somebody.
Yeah.
The blade's just going to shoot off and
And
decapitate the
the
baby.
globe light has those weird turn screws where
I'll
it's
never-
like, don't overdo it because you'll bust right through the glass, but don't
every-
be shaking.
I can't believe that was the thing. In New York, especially, every lighting fit when you change the light bulb, you're like, this is the process. We're just screwing something in so it lays.
Yes.
It's like if it moves a little bit to the right, it's a very imperfect system.
No, there's 3. All right, let's break down the ceiling fan. First off, we don't need the lowest speed. Because it's like we're not shooting a 40s film noir movie in here. This does nothing. This is just.
Are you searching for a missing girl?
Yeah. And I got my inner monologue. It was late. She was beautiful. I opened my desk. There's a bottle of scotch in
You
it.
got the board with all the names.
Right.
attached to
It's
each other.
like it's only for shooting a movie. It's not moving air, so we don't need that. We don't need crazed vortex where everything is shaking speed. We just need a nice intermediate one. And also, I used to do this in my act. I haven't done it in like a million years. But how about a little red light that says on or off? Because you know how many fucking times I've gotten the remote and I've gone through the scroll but it's coasting. But I'm like, is that on slow? Like I'm not going out of town with this thing going the whole time. So I got to wait and see if it's on. Like I don't know if it's up. Especially the old chain pull ones. Like you pull the chain, pull it again. Like, did I pull it a third time?
You
where
almost
I'm
have to,
leaning
you
in
almost
for
have to listen to the hum of electronics.
Right. I put my hand
Yeah,
up there
you gotta do the
sometimes.
hand
You
check.
got to do the hands up. How about just a little red light? How about just a little thing that said it's
Like
off?
on, off.
On, off.
LED.
Like it's not hot.
Like a podcast recording.
Anything.
On air, off air.
Everywhere. Ubiquitous.
So the two
Don't-
things that are the downfall
Lori
of
Grenier,
society
if you're listening,
are frothers and ceiling fans.
Well,
suck
to
on
be
that,
fair,
black
could be
people.
better.
You hit me. I was off.
Suck on that,
I
ethnics.
was not ready for that question.
The
yeah.
frother killed me.
I was not ready for it, but it's an example of a item that never existed. We never grew up in a house with a frother. Nobody had one until about 4 or 5 years ago. Now it's pretty ubiquitous, and it's causing more damage than lawn darts. It is.
It's the new
dangerous.
lawn dart.
The least it's making a mess. I swear to God, last night in my kitchen, it's like spilling all of them, mopping it up, and it's hot.
And you always think, don't you always think, I'm going to get it this time?
Yes.
I've got it. And then it does it again.
There's a confidence we have. Like, I got this.
A frothing confidence.
There's a frothy, foamy confidence that I enter the kitchen with gusto. Like, I walk with purpose. I got this. You can hear the drums tapping in the background. I approach the frother. I squint. I give the Clint Eastwood
There's
look.
a breeze hitting you from the perfectly...
Yes. At some point, I do this move with my hand where I heat it up with my breath. Like an old style gunslinger, and then I pick it up with purpose. Right.
I bought a pressure cooker, crock pot, whatever combination. And as I had it, I was like, it is crazy that I can make a delicious sweet and sour meatball or blow up a small city. Sure
can.
It's a weird thing to be.
I
No
can
middle
destroy
ground.
a
Hey,
marathon.
why am I allowed to buy this?
Yeah.
I also don't like, first off,
Because what are you cooking tonight? He goes, just pretty much gas and nails.
Just to lock it, you have to turn all these things. It's like a nuclear.
And when
device.
you
It is.
when you let that thing out, that steam, you're really like, this is dangerous. I think.
Yeah,
I'm just
blast
trying
off a few eyebrow hairs.
I don't like all the
Hot
potential.
wet just splashes you in the face.
All these items that have the potential, it's basically like my phone, like I can make phone calls on it and I can use Waze. That's about it. I can't do all the shit that everyone else is using. I go, oh shit, I don't have my keys. Oh yeah, my phone, I got an app. It'll tell me where my keys are. Or, like, oh, this Southwest flights. Like, we should check. I got an app, like a Southwest app. Everyone uses the fuck out of their phone. I just barely use mine. I'd be like the world's worst Indian. I'd be like, just get the ribs of the buffalo. I'm going back to the teepee. And they'd be like, we need every part of the buffalo. I'm like, I'm good with just a couple ribs and let the carcass rot. But the items, the ovens or the things, the devices, the cooking things you see on there, they're like, make delicious, nutritious smoothies. And I'm like, all right, make hot soup out of it. Broast a whole chicken. I'm like, I'm never getting near the potential of what this thing can do.
Yeah, make your grandma's favorite sauce or ice cream.
Right. I'm always like,
That shouldn't be
how's
the
that
same
even,
thing.
How's that
Clean
even
your
work?
sneakers on setting 8.
Yes, and they're like, on the lower deck you can make home fries, and on the top you can roast the turkey.
Too
and
much
I'm like,
reliance.
it's too much.
Too much reliance on technology too. I
Yes.
think what I mean with those things. Like you're not relying. I wanted to pitch. I did actually pitch on my podcast to 2, I think, of the Shark Tank people who both said it was a great idea, but would not get behind it at all.
Haters.
So we stopped losing all of our rock stars. You make some sort of a belt or a contraption that when you want to jerk off and hang yourself from a doorknob, if you don't acknowledge it every 30 seconds, it just releases you.
Like the Tesla steering wheel.
And then we'd still have Linkin Park.
Yeah.
Soundgarden would still be going
David
strong.
Carradine.
David
Still be
Carradine.
In excess.
Roundhouse.
That's right.
And you
You're
can
right.
get designer belts can get involved.
I
Like
say,
a Gucci.
absolutely. And if you don't acknowledge it in whatever time, it releases you.
So Mark Cuban said no to that?
yeah.
Wow.
They also
And
great
Mr.
idea.
Wonderful.
No, it
Prude.
was Mark Cuban and Damon.
Yeah.
I was like, you could throw a FUBU on it.
I bet you. Have you gone to the FUBU website to see if it's already there?
No, I didn't know there was still a FUBU website.
I'm not sure if there is either.
I don't know if there is at all. Short-lived.
Yeah, and the sort of mildly sort of reverse races, like this is our shit.
It was what was funny was however it was, I think everyone just thought it was like a brand. No one overthought it.
Right.
And then when you realize that you were like much like myself, like a white kid wearing a FUBU
100%.
like
Right.
football jersey, and I'm like, I don't. Hey guys, I like white stuff too.
We wore them in high school too. We had FUBU gear.
For us, by us.
Yeah.
Right. All right, man. I could go forever with you guys. We could talk about anything for as long as we want.
Because you got that frothing energy.
I'm glad you posed the question. I did, because I was considering it in my kitchen this morning. Like, this is going to be the death of all of us, this frother.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who gets frustrated by the froth.
Yeah, while Congress is wringing their hands over TikTok and the Chinese, I've been able to put my finger on the pulse of what's really going to take down this country. It's big froth.
Yeah, TikTok's a red herring. It's all about the frother.
Yeah, that's a distraction. They're jingling the keys over here with their spy balloons and stuff when it's really the frothers that are going to take us down.
Because meanwhile, I'm using, I don't know, 10, 12 fucking paper towels a day in my house.
And, well, you joke, obviously, but our kids are going to grow up. They're going to be in their 40s, and they're going to go in for physical, and the doctor's going to say, you have foam lung. And they're going to go, what? Did you grow up in a house with a frother?
Oh.
It's going to be worse than radon.
And also,
there's implications, long-term implications.
Wrist atrophy.
Worse than the vax. Much worse than the vax.
No one knows how to mix anymore. You've got weak wrists.
Oh, yeah.
That's
carpal
right.
tunnel
We're not going to be able to do anything with our wrists because we're just holding things still that
That's
are frothing.
right.
By the way,
for
I
us.
feel like you said I feel like radon happened like in my time. I've never heard of it, and then all of a sudden one day they were like, you got to have an alarm in your house for it, because if it's in here, you'll probably die.
This is like, I love when we do this thing. Like, we get all up into radon. Like in California, it's like, Africanized killer bees are coming in from Texas. They made their way across the Mexican
The
border.
murder bees?
They're coming
So many
before
locations.
this is like in the 80s. Like, killer bees attacked a rancher in Lubbock, Texas. You know, and we're like, holy. And then all of a sudden it's like, we're bored. We got nothing. Radon was the same thing. Like, fucking radon, man. That's going to take you down. And then it's like, hey, radon. And you're like, huh? What?
Frothing's the real danger. The next kitchen danger.
It's all a distraction.
Radon schmadon.
Yeah.
Why haven't we done like celebrity endorsements? Like there could be a sweet David Hasselhoff.
Oh.
Wouldn't that be sweet? Him on the box? I have a David Hasselhoff chia pet.
They're leaving money on the table.
I don't want to brag.
He's too mixed up with the Germans for my taste.
Yeah. We get the estate of Frost Sinatra to sign off on. I mean, it's endless. We got to talk after the show. We got to cash these checks.
Do you still have Mr. Cuban's number?
Yeah,
we're
come
good.
on. Hit him with the celebrity endorsed Frost.
Who's this singer? David Roth?
David Lee Roth.
David
Oh,
David
David
Roth.
Lee Roth. Yep. There's so many.
I'm just a frothalo, and everywhere I go, people want me to stir their post up.
It writes
Oh
itself.
my God!
It's funny, the celebrity endorsement on Shark Tank. I watched one a couple weeks ago, and a guy came out. It was the worst pitch I've ever seen. I even forget what it was for. So some kind of food thing. But first thing was first. He had his wife or girlfriend do a like fall from the ceiling in like the aerial scarfs.
Oh no.
Everyone's like, okay.
Aerial
and then she came
scarves.
over and she was like, I'm so proud of you, honey. I can't wait for you to do your pitch. And then he's like, all right, let me walk you out. And then they did like, I can only just, if I had to name it, I would say a flying 69. And he went backwards.
They went
and
back.
flipped over her. Like they walked out like that. And then he was there to pitch, I think, some kind of like sustainable food or something. and then he goes, also, someone else would like to talk to you about it. And David Schwimmer came out.
What?
Pushing a car to this stuff. And it was funny. Gwyneth Paltrow happened to be like on the panel. And she was like, oh my God, David. And he's like, hey, Gwyneth. Like he had to like, say hi to her. She goes, we did a movie years ago. She went over and kissed him. He's like, so this guy's like in my acting class. And like I told him, his muffins are so good that if he does it and gets on Shark Tank, I'll come out. So here's some muffins. And then he was like, bye, everyone. What a weird celebrity endorsement. He goes, no, they are pretty good muffins. I know this guy. He lives in my block.
Wow.
We'll sign him up for the
Everyone's
froth.
like,
We'll get him for the
bye,
froth."
David Schwimmer. Let's get him for the froth.
Well, look, David, his last name doesn't really. Schwimmer's a little tough
That's
with
tough.
froth.
It won't work with the celebrity endorsement.
But what do we know him from? We know him from Friends.
Yes.
We know him as a lovable froth.
Oh my God!
Froth and Rachel.
Way to
That's
wrap
right,
it.
Froth and Rachel.
Way to button
It's
that.
a 2-pack.
The ultimate,
It's a
the ultimate will
two-pack
they,
of
won't
froth.
they? Froth and Rachel.
Oh my God.
We could get directors involved, like the horror director Eli Froth.
Oh, I know him.
Yep.
I'll
love that director.
I'll blow a call in Eli Froth. All right, Big Jay Oakerson, Dog Belly, name of the stand-up special available Wednesday, April 5th on YouTube as well. Legion of Skanks podcast, very funny. I had fun on that. Live dates too, bigjcomedy.com. Jessimae Peluso, Sharp Tongue, name of her podcast, and live shows coming up. Everett Theater, and that's in Washington. That's April 20th, and then House of Comedy, May 4th through the 6th. And you can go to jessimae.com for all the live shows. You can go to adamcarolla.com for all my live shows, Turlock, California, and Tower Theater in Fresno. And you just go there Friday and Saturday, and we'll say hi. And until next time. Oh, no, that's right. That's right. We'll do the news. That's right. Right after this. Hey, it's Adam Carolla. Is your vehicle no longer stopping like it used to? Or does it squeal, shake, or grind when you brake? Don't miss spring brake deals at O'Reilly Auto Parts now through April 25th. You can get 15% off when you buy a set of Brake Best Select or Import Direct brake pads and 2 rotors. Brake Best Select and Import Direct brake pads are engineered for all driving conditions to restore and improve braking performance. With application-specific friction formulas, noise-canceling shims, and low-dust operation. Trust Brake Best and Import Direct to deliver better braking. Don't take a chance on your next brake repair. The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts will help you find the brake parts and supplies you need to do the job right the first time. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit online, O'ReillyAuto.com. All right, so we are backstage at the, we're in Fresno. We're at the, what
Tower Theater in Fresno.
Tower Theater
backstage. You're about to hit the stage in about 40 minutes.
I know. I just took a nap, so I just woke up. So we're backstage, and you just heard Big J and Jessimae. And now we got some news, some fresh news, some updated news, and that's going to be this part of the show. And then we'll finish up here, and then I'll hit the stage, and then we'll drive home all night.
Yeah.
So perfect. So what do you got, Chris?
So I'll kick this one off with I guess it's kind of local. It's only 2 hours north of us, San Jose. Mm-hmm. So there's a police union director who got caught because of within an opioid smuggling ring.
The fentanyl lady.
Yeah, exactly. So she was the executive director for Northern California Police Union, San Jose. And yeah, she was getting fentanyl shipped to her house. She was using her work computer to organize this.
Yeah, she was getting it shipped in chocolates and stuff like that.
Wedding invitation or wedding favors and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't.
Okay, so this is what I want to tell everybody. Please listen to me. I'm going to say this once, except for I've said it a million times, and I'll say it a million times more. This notion of like we must get women in positions of power, we must get blacks in positions of power, we must get Hispanics in positions of power, we must get gays in positions of power. They're just people, and people are susceptible to the same pressures that all white men are susceptible to, which is being corrupt because they're in a position of power. Women aren't inherently better than men. They're not. I know that's the thing. Like, I know everyone goes, well, if we only had a woman president, fuck that. I know tons of women. They're all dumb, and they're all fucking evil, and they're all corrupt. Well, not all of them. Many of them. Like, I know tons of horrible women, and I know tons of horrible men. It's the same with black. It's the same with Hispanic. We're not going to cure our problems in society by getting more women in positions of power or more blacks in positions of power. And by the way, more women in positions of power are not going to help other women. I don't know if you guys have checked. Last time I checked, women hate other women. Black people do not help other black people. Hispanics do not help others. It's just good people. It's just moral people. So this notion like, oh, we're getting more women. Yes, we have a woman. She's in power. And then she fucking runs fentanyl for the Medellin cartel. So what is it, you fucking idiots? It's just bad people doing bad things. It's not their gender. It's not their race. It's Jesus goddamn Christ.
Right.
Can
I
we
mean,
give it
look,
a
there-
fucking break. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, there are some women that are better than men. There are some, like, regardless, there are people
a
that are better
handful.
than, yeah.
Yes. And then there's men that are better than women.
Right.
So,
But they shouldn't be. but
Moving on.
They
Next
shouldn't be
subject.
hired based on
No,
that.
because
That's
they
what you're
don't.
saying.
They're
Yeah.
not inherently better. They don't help women. They don't help blacks.
Well,
they don't
this
help
one was
Hispanics.
really, this one was
I know.
really a piece of work.
That's right.
I mean,
Like
if you
many
think about
women
it,
are. Yes.
like obviously there's a huge fentanyl crisis, especially in Northern California, San
Coolio. They just
Francisco.
found out Coolio died of fentanyl.
Like, yeah. So imagine the people that she has affected.
But she's a woman, Chris. She's a woman.
Regardless,
Shouldn't she be held?
man, woman,
Yes,
elephant,
everyone's
you're
flawed.
a piece of shit.
Of
Like-
course. Look, everyone on the
What is-
left hates Marjorie Taylor Greene, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Woman. She's a
an
woman.
example.
She's a woman. And they hate Candace Owens. She's a black woman. Okay, so what is it? Is it women? Is it black women? Is it men?
It's
Is it
not,
black
I don't
men?
think it's men or women. It's just if you're hiring people based on being a
Yes,
woman. That's what
of
it is.
course, you're
Yeah.
going to end up with fucking Kamala Harris. That's
Right.
what you end up with.
Well, she's been fired, this
Good.
union director, based off this investigation. And yeah, she's been there since like 2003.
Yes.
And yeah, shipments to her home, it was risky already. Everyone said that they were really surprised. All of her coworkers, like, this is a shock. Like she was a sweet lady, but
She tried
running
to blame her cleaning
running
woman.
a little drug
I love
ring.
the woman tried to blame the other woman.
Oh, she tried to blame her housekeeper.
That's what I'm saying. Every
Yeah.
time I hear about the Million Woman March, I'm like, would you fucking yentas just go home and handle your goddamn business? It's nothing to do with men, woman, black, white, Hispanic. It's such a fucked up time we're living in. And by the way, it's racist and it's genderist to think that a gender or a race would be inherently better than the other one would be. Ugh. I've been screaming this for a million years. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with everyone.
All right, let's move on. Let's go.
Please.
Let's go down south to Florida, the other side of the country here. So, a Florida teacher was fired hours after he asked his students to write their own obituaries ahead of an active shooter drill on campus.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, is a psychology teacher. These were 11th and 12th graders, and it was during first period on a Tuesday. And these kids got really uncomfortable about this.
I don't know. I kind of like it. It's a time saver.
Yeah. So
I mean, if something goes down.
So the teacher said, this is a class of 35. The teacher says, quote, "This isn't a way to upset you or anything like that. It wasn't to scare them or make them feel like they were going to die. Just help them understand what's important in their lives and how they want to move forward with their lives and how they want to pursue things in their journey." But by second period, word got out, fired same day.
How much obit writing could you do when you were in the 11th grade?
Like, what do you have to say?
It's like, I like Apple Jacks.
Yeah, do 11th grade Adam's obituary.
11th grade Adam's obituary would have been, I eat hard-boiled eggs. I don't like hard-boiled eggs, but I eat a lot of hard-boiled eggs, and I lift weights. So it's like I eat eggs and I lift weights so I can play football. And so I like eggs. And I'm not sure. My stepmom's kind of lukewarm on me. My dad's kind of lukewarm. I don't really see my mom that much, or I don't live with my mom.
Well, this has to be in third person. So Adam Carolla, egg eater.
Egg eater.
He
likes Graham Parker and the Pretenders, and maybe the Cars' first album, and likes playing football and fucking around with a bullhorn on campus, and Ray and Chris are douchebags or something. Like I don't.
You tag it with.
I would
Ray
tag
Chris.
it with. I would definitely have to take a dig at Ray and Chris.
Of course, they do the same to you.
I didn't have a resume, so how could I put together an obit? I didn't do anything. Had my driver's license.
Yeah, what have you left behind?
I may have had a BMX bike from a few years earlier. I had a mattress. Let's see, a BMX bike.
And a mattress.
A
You're
mattress.
counting your mattress as something.
Well, that was a big ticket item for me. That's a.
I would not have thought to
well,
included my mattress in my worldly
I
possessions.
didn't own a car. Well, let's break it down. I didn't own a car. I did not have a motorcycle. I didn't have a mode of transportation. So I would have had a BMX bicycle from a few years earlier, but I still had the bicycle in my shed, I think. Did I mention the mattress?
Yeah, you said that a couple times.
I had some Levi corduroys. Wow, I didn't own a basketball. I had a baseball mitt. So I would have had a baseball mitt, maybe a baseball bat, maybe cleats for football.
What was your biggest accomplishment at that age that it could be your legacy that you were known for?
Well, in the 11th grade, nothing really. In the 12th grade,
Getting to the 11th grade.
getting to the 11th grade, the 12th grade, I would have had, class clown at the end of the year, and I would have had all Valley football player at the beginning middle of senior year, because I think they did like the all Valley selection at September, October or something.
Adam Carolla, left guard.
Oh, God damn it. Middle linebacker. Come on. Best defensive player, class clown, selected to the, Herald Examiner All-Star football team or Green Sheet or something, football, whatever the newspaper was that's now defunct.
That's sad. It's minimal.
Yeah,
it's like a paragraph.
It was pretty minimal. Just a lot of minimal. Pretty minimal. By the way, that obit wouldn't have improved for the next decade. 10 years after that, still would have had. He's got baseball mitt.
Made it to the 11th grade.
Got
once.
his mattress.
So that's mattress. His
Just got his
corduroy
mattress.
pants.
Who's got a Zuzu Trooper.
Oh,
with a lot of miles on it. 4-banger. And
the robe without a sash.
He's got a robe without a sash. He's got a Pioneer stereo unit, like maybe a Sony Trinitron TV or something.
He's behind a shrimp devaner.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever took possession of that.
No.
That may be a family
All
thing.
your shrimps have been veiny.
Yeah, I don't even. I still to this day don't know what goes on with the shrimp devaner. But it was a grab bag item at my Christmas family at Uncle Gobby's house, and when I was 9. But no, a decade later, I didn't have anything.
Yeah,
no, and it wasn't a decade later. It was like 13 years later. Still flatline, nothing. So
this would have been a suicide.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been I didn't have a girlfriend to leave behind. Yeah, I wouldn't have had anything to leave behind. So it would have been a very vacant obituary.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
All right, I want to get your thoughts on this. So, the headline is kind of funny. 18-year-old man arrested, which seems way too young to say an 18-year-old man, but I mean that's legality, for breaking into a mansion. Michael Jordan's mansion in Chicago. So 15.
I saw that movie Air.
Right. That's right. Yeah. So yeah, Michael Jordan's in the news. So $15 million mansion. It was in Chicago. Here's the thing. This mansion, Michael hasn't lived there since 2012. He put it on the market, originally listed for $29 million, dropped to $14.8. Still unable to unload this property. So it basically is abandoned. But this 18-year-old kid, he goes in there, he breaks in. The only thing is the window was broken, but he goes in, he films some stuff. The gym, there's a basketball court in there, a golf course, things like that. But he's been arrested, and he's facing criminal charges for breaking into this property.
I can't figure out, like, Michael Jordan. Like, I like him, but I understand he's complicated, and I feel, his whole dad being killed is a weird story.
That's a crazy story.
Yeah, here's what I have to say. He was killed at a rest stop. So he stopped, he rested, and then he rested permanently.
Eternally, yeah.
And do you know that his body was thrown in a swamp, and they found it, and it was like a John Doe. They found it like 11 days later, and they cremated it because they didn't know who it was. So Michael Jordan's dad was not, properly buried. It wasn't like he was shot in a crime and then properly buried. He was missing. They found his body. They didn't know who it was. It was so decayed that they cremated it.
Unidentifiable.
Unidentifiable body cremated. Okay, so
Jeez.
couple things. Listen, I'm going to tell my kids, I don't fucking care how tired you are. Never stop at a rest stop.
Yeah.
Nothing good happens.
Nothing good.
Nothing. I've seen enough movies. I've heard enough stories. There's nothing. I don't care how fucking tired you are. Slosh water on your face and keep driving, bro. Like, have another cup of coffee. Put a fucking thumbtack in your shoe and press on it every mile marker. Like anything, then catch some Z's at a rest stop.
Right.
Also, it makes me wonder, Michael Jordan's dad, Bill Cosby's son, Ennis Cosby, they were both killed because they just sort of pulled over.
Yeah.
That's the scariest thing ever. Like, it's one thing if somebody puts a hit on you, or you work for a drug cartel, or your wife's trying to collect the insurance. It's another thing if you just in America. One was in North Carolina. The other was in Los Angeles, where you just pull over. You just pull over randomly in the middle of the night. Just middle of the night, middle of nowhere. Like Ennis Cosby, Bill's son, got like a flat tire just pulled off of Skirball Center in Sepulveda in the middle of Los Angeles. I mean,
People should be allowed to do this. They should be able to do this. It should be an okay thing.
That's not South Central. That's 405 Sepulveda Pass. Skirball Center, museums, Mulholland, very expensive real estate.
Yeah.
Very high-end, gentrified, white, expensive real estate.
Anybody should
living
be
in
able to
those
do
hills. And just on any weeknight, just pulls over, flat tire. It's like, oh, gets out of the car. Oh, crazy gangbanger puts a bullet in his head. Like randomly, just it's like walks up, like, oh, I'm a gangbanger. And what do? Oh, I just walk around.
Yeah.
At night.
I lurk.
Prestigious neighborhoods, and then see if anyone pulls over.
That's way more shocking than the rest stop, because at least the rest stop, they have that reputation already and it's expected. But nowhere safe anymore. Jeez.
Ennis, who probably would have, I don't know if he wishes that Michael Jordan's dad was his dad, but that would have been a fine combination, Ennis Cosby, school teacher, Bill Cosby's son, would be Michael Jordan's father's son, would have been fine. But
weird connection there. Yeah.
they just pull over. And you go, like, I got a flat tire, and we're going to catch some Z's. And then just rando gangbanger just walks up, just in the middle of nowhere on a weeknight. Just, here we are. I mean, it's, like I said, look, you drive your car into South Central or into, South Side of Chicago or something, pull your car over.
Yeah,
maybe.
seedy neighborhoods.
This is Skirball Center, which is a big museum in Mulholland and the west side of Hollywood, West LA, and multi-million-dollar homes all in the canyon, in the hills. You just pull over there, and someone just walks up and shoots you in the head.
The odds of that are
it's insane.
I don't.
So Michael Jordan's, but the thing about the movie was it was all.
It's all about his dad.
It's kind of interesting. It was all about mom, and it made me, me. I like to tack some shitty cultural narrative onto everything, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's like
Here we go.
it was all. I don't know the story. I don't know the real story, but it's like Michael Jordan's mom, Michael Jordan's dad.
I heard this
right?
was approved by Michael, like this movie.
Yeah,
so
and look, it made the mom
pretty
look
realistic.
great. There's no doubt about it. But mom was like the savior And Dad was like, "Hey, got shot, and died, and we're moving on." Like,
really?
Didn't really give any love to the dad. It's like they were together.
I think that would have detracted from the story they were trying to tell.
The dad had a love child,
Wow.
and he's playing for the Nets right now. No, I have no idea. It would be good if it was. I heard he had a love child. I'm just saying. I know. Look, the narrative is strong black woman. I'm just saying. I don't know. If you made a movie where it was all Michael Jordan's dad and mom's like, she got capped in the head, and we would turn the page. Like, people would be like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, Dad was there. He was there in the whole movie. And at the end, they were just like, he got killed, moving on. Like, they didn't do anything. And at the end, spoiler alert, but at the end of the movie, when they do the epilogue where, like, Phil Knight, blah, 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 invented the...
That's a huge spoiler alert. These are the
well, at the end, look. At the end of all those kind of movies, they do this.
Here's the thing. It's a true story. We know what happens.
At the end of movies these days, they go, Steve, McBride, the guy who, invented the swoosh, he went on to blah, 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 and the blah, blah. They always do that. I love that part of it.
I love
Everyone
those
loves
parts.
it.
Yeah.
It's boring. It's trite. It's been done 1,000 times, and everyone
Can't get
loves
enough.
it. Can't get enough. I could watch the whole movie for me could be just be what they did. Yeah. The first 10 minutes of the movie could be the movie, and the next
I want to read what happens.
The next hour and 45 could just be what people ended up doing after that, because it's crazy. Like, sold the company, made $1 billion, or like went bankrupt, or got divorced, or transitioned, or whatever it is. So, didn't even give one to Michael Jordan's dad. Just did the thing with the mom, did the thing with the Jordan and the Air Jordan and everybody, and nothing. Dad got nothing. Dad's just dead. Yeah.
Oh, he didn't even get a good epilogue.
No, he did not get a good epilogue. That's right.
I'll still be watching. Mm-hmm. All right, so now let's go over to Texas. So there's a story out of Texas where it's kind of crazy. Do you know what an AirTag is?
No.
An Apple AirTag. So it's this little like piece of plastic almost, but it has like some technology within it where you put it on, you could stick it on something like my laptop, for instance, and if my laptop gets stolen.
Everyone, I know. Yeah. I will never utilize any of that.
Okay,
yes.
well, a guy did it for his car.
His car?
Yeah, so, and then he goes and tracks his stolen car. Mm-hmm. And there is a guy in the car when he's in the car. So he calls the cops, but then before waiting for the cops to arrive, he goes and confronts this guy. Mm-hmm. And the guy in the car. This is all allegedly.
I don't get. Do you get why people are pissed when people steal cars or shit?
Why people are pissed?
Yeah,
of course.
I don't get it at all.
If your car gets stolen, you wouldn't be pissed?
Not at all. Not one bit. Not for a second.
My catalytic converter was stolen. I'm still pissed.
In a weird way, that's worse than getting your car stolen.
Wait, why?
Because I just assume there's just shitty people floating around out there, and they just do shitty things. And I never.
It's just a price you pay for being a part of society today, and you just move on.
I have never, when I was young, I was about 13, and one of the big ticket items I got, like when I graduated the junior high or maybe the 6th grade or something like that. So I went down to Val Surf, and I got a skateboard. Not the whole skateboard, because trucks, wheels, and everything. That would have been a lot. What's it called?
The deck is the wood part.
I got the deck.
Okay.
Oh, they call that the deck?
Yeah, it's the deck.
So they would sell the deck separate, and then they would sell the trucks and the wheels, and then maybe the little weird
the hardware
pad in between the trucks and the deck.
Oh, yeah.
And then
the riser.
The riser. You would have to like drill it yourself and blah, blah it yourself, which I was trying to figure out. But anyway, I was pretty stoked that I got a skateboard when I was like graduated the 6th grade.
That's a big deal. Yeah, skateboards are expensive.
Well, just the deck.
You got the bones.
I got the deck part, but it was still like, would have been like $16 or something at Val Surf in North Hollywood. And I was like riding it around. I was excited about it. And some like kid came up to me, and he was like, some like big kid. He was like a junior higher. I was like in the 6th grade. He was probably like in the 8th grade. And he was like, can I check out your skateboard? And I couldn't say no to anybody. I was just like, okay. And he's like, okay. And he got on it and he just went off. He just left. He just never came back.
Yeah.
He just went into the night, except for it was the day.
I had a similar thing.
Metaphorically. He just took off. And I just looked at him. And he just went.
And that's that.
And that's that.
Buy board.
And
Buy forever.
buy board and buy gift for graduation. And then I got home and I said to my mom, some kid just stole my board. And she was like, yeah, all right. That
I'm going to hang out my mattress.
yeah. Where's my food time? I got to cry myself to sleep. That was it.
That's
thing gone.
weird. That's weird. You should be upset.
I wasn't. I was upset that my board was gone, but I wasn't really upset that he did it. I just figured people do that shit, steal cars, do stuff like that. I don't really look at stealing cars as any different than than speeding.
Right.
It's that's just what a certain percentage of humans do this. So if someone stole my car, like one of those commercials where they're like, oh man, it's like, hey, you're insured. Someone stole your car, they stole your car. I would have no reaction to it. But it's also interesting that I would have no reaction to it and never do. I would never care. I would not care at all. But it's never happened to me. Nothing's ever happened to me. Except for the skateboard.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I had the same thing happen. I was at a bar with some friends and we met some girls and they invited us back to their place but we had skateboards with us because that's how we got around.
Yeah.
So we skateboarded back to their place and I had my friend's skateboard because I didn't have mine that night and we walk in her house and I just leave it posted up on the porch and we walk in and 3 minutes later my friend Mikey, the drummer in my band, he's like, hey, where's my skateboard? I'm like, oh, it's just right outside.
Mikey the Destroyer?
No, that's Will, the
Okay.
bassist who destroyed the bathroom.
Okay.
and deserves that nickname. So, where's my skateboard? Oh, it's outside. It's only been 3 minutes. He's like, it's gone. He already knew. It's gone. Like, what are you talking about? I'll go grab it real quick. I walk outside. It's gone. Just like that.
Horrible.
Yeah, it's sad.
All right, so this guy
Goes up to the car. There's the guy who stole the car sitting in the driver's seat, and he confronts him. Mm-hmm. And now this is what the report says now. Verbal confrontation. Then the man standing outside allegedly fired several rounds into the vehicle, shoots the guy in the head. The guy inside dies. So that's a story, right? So now, according to reports, the guy inside the car pulled a gun first. So the man said that he shot in self-defense. And here's why I believe him. Authorities are saying that he's not going to face charges.
Good.
Yeah. So, but he tracked his car, confronts the guy, and shoots him and kills him.
That wouldn't do it. Wouldn't get. First off, doesn't everyone have car insurance? Like what?
You're covered. Yeah.
Why
That's
do
what you're
you
paying
need-
for.
well, you're going
to not have to do that.
You're going full dog bounty hunter.
What if it was your Chevy that you had since you were 12 years old, like when we saw right outside? A
with
guy
the
stopped you.
Ghost flames.
Yeah.
Let's quiz you on that car.
No, we don't need to do
What
that.
year was it?
Nobody was there for that.
What year was it?
57.
55.
Oh.
You know where that car was made famous?
Detroit.
All right. You know what movie made that car famous?
Cannonball Run.
No. No. Oh, God.
Someone stopped Adam right outside the theater and showed him his car. And
Yeah, had a big black.
I was there for it,
427 in it. 9-inch rear end. 700 transmission. Oh, my God. I haven't thought about this movie in a million years. Well, think about it. Oh, shit. All right. So now you got to help me because it was filmed out here.
Fresno movie.
Now, I haven't thought about this movie in a million years. Harrison Ford was in it. Ron Howard was in it. Cindy, who just died from Laverne and Shirley, was in it. It was American Graffiti. In American Graffiti, Harrison Ford played the badass who drove the 55 Chevy and was dragging Milner at the end. And he wore a cowboy hat. And I don't know if you noticed it, but the dude with the Miller Lite who was talking my ear off was wearing the cowboy hat.
He was inspired.
Like Harrison Ford from American Graffiti. And Harrison Ford had no dialogue in the movie. He was just He was just, if you watch American Graffiti, and that was a George Lucas film, was like a very early film.
73.
For Lucas or Spielberg.
Written by George Lucas and directed by George Lucas, produced by Francis Ford Coppola.
Those are people you've heard of, right?
I've heard of them, yeah.
Yeah.
They ring a bell.
This was a big movie, and Harrison Ford drove a 55 Chevy, the Bel Air, the same one.
That's where I saw it.
And that he always wore a cowboy hat in the movie, and that's why that dude was wearing a cowboy hat out in that parking lot.
Yeah, so we could talk about it like
Now
the way
you
we're
know.
talking about
Yes.
it here. Well, so this AirTag thing. So there's also a story recently in Orange County where a girl lost her e-bike and they tracked it down to the place. They confronted the guy and she just got her bike back. But
Good.
Is this what we're doing now? Street justice? We're just following the GPS of these locations, and do you approve of this?
there's this new thing where cops aren't being cops anymore, and we've talked about. I told this story in Pasadena where the guy got shot because somebody stole his computer,
right.
and they told the cop he's got a gun, and so they went
why I got
after
it
him
back.
because we don't tell him. If you talk about property crimes, cops don't care anymore.
Yeah,
So
they don't.
that's it.
I don't
E-bike-
expect to get anything back.
No,
I mean, I've had
your-
a ton of stuff stolen the
your
last few years.
backpack, your
Yeah.
guitar, whatever,
Everything.
computer. Fuck that.
I'll never get it back.
We're now at the point in our society that we've crafted that we no longer will do anything about property crimes. So people are going to have to start tagging their own shit and going after their own shit because the cops are no longer interested in solving crime or protecting citizens when it comes to property crimes. Now, as far as the physical stuff, they still have a kind of lukewarm interest in that, even though that's waning as well and probably on the way out. But you are now going to have to tag your own shit. And look, Lori Lightfoot, who just got thrown out of Chicago's mayor, she just did a whole speech like 2 months ago. When I say 2 months ago, I mean like a month ago. She's like, you vendors that are selling tamales on the street. By the way, I wish they'd sell tamales out here rather than those fucking ghetto dogs. But like you guys are selling the tamales. You store owners are complaining about getting your Gucci bag stolen. You need to chain that shit up. And you tamale salesmen, you don't be dealing with cash. You need to get Venmo. And like, so we're basically saying to citizens, like, we're not involved with stopping crime anymore in terms of property, like money and Gucci bags and tamale cash. Like, we're here for murders and rape and arson. So you guys need to get the Venmo, and you need to tag your electric scooters, and you need to chain up, put a cable through the handles of your handbag. Like, don't leave that shit out. People just blow the window out and steal all your shit. So
do it yourself.
We have now such a fucking decrepit piece of shit society that we're literally going, oh, you left? Yeah, I went to Oakland. I left my backpack on the passenger seat of the rental car. Oh, that's on you.
On you.
That's on you.
Yeah.
That's on you. It's like, it's on me.
You should be working around them now.
I
You have to
left
do this.
shit in my rental car. Yeah, it's on you. Like, so now
I did get that a lot. It's
I know.
fine.
Well, that's where we're at. So with that in mind, everyone's gonna have to tag their own shit, or maybe do what I did all those many, many years ago, which is I just defiled my stereo.
Oh, wow.
I spray painted my stereo brown. Take your fucking scooter, take your backpack, take your laptop computer, take your bass guitar, and just fucking destroy it.
Destroy it.
Just carve swastikas
Yeah,
into it and just
smear
paint it brown,
shit all
smear
over it.
fecal matter on
Yeah.
it, and then see if anyone steals it, because they won't. They only steal shit to sell shit.
Yeah.
They don't steal laptops because, like, oh man, I got a big deadline coming up. I got to crunch those numbers. The Johnson report is due on Monday, and my computer's out of batteries. Like, no, they steal all your shit to sell all your shit. Yeah. So if you pre-destroy all your shit, like I did with my Sony stereo, my Nissan truck, then they will leave you alone. That's the story.
That's sad. All right.
All right. Well, I got a show to do. I got to get out
I got to
there.
be on stage in like a few minutes.
I got to wow the audience. I'm nervous, man. Woo! All right.
Warmed up.
I'm warmed up. All right. So until next time, this is Adam Carolla for Jessimae Peluso and Big Jay
Big Jay Oakerson, yeah.
Oakerson, right. Big Jay Oakerson and Chris Maxipata saying, Mahalo.